Auntie. Back then I was the poorest in the class. In the class, there was a girl named Evelyn Wynn. Her family was filthy rich. During a harmless game of truth or dare, she lost, and the bet was 90 yuan. Everyone thought she'd welch on it, but she transferred the money right there on the spot, accompanied by exactly 4 words: play hard, pay hard. From that day on, my life changed completely. The seafood rice in the cafeteria that I'd never dared to eat, I started ordering milk tea delivered to the dorm every day. From someone who worked odd jobs, I became a regular customer. The sets of grad school review materials near the library. Finally, I had enough money to buy the whole set. She never asked how much I'd spent, and I never explained it to her. 4 years later, on graduation day, my account had only 0.82 yuan left. Her money had just enough to tide me over until I got my degree and a job. Another 4 years passed. Under the overpass, I spotted a familiar figure. Her face was smeared with dirt, her clothes ragged, but those eyes were unmistakable. Evelyn Wynn. I'd heard her family went bankrupt. Her parents fled, leaving her alone to shoulder all the debts. I squatted down, extended my hand. Come with me. She froze, tears streaming down her face. When the phone rang, I was hastily eating on the 3rd floor of the cafeteria. A bowl of plain rice, a serving of free soup. The phone screen lit up, displaying Chuck Hayes. I pressed answer, my fingertips still sticky with rice grains. Tristan Chen, where are you? Chuck Hayes's voice was noisy, background music and laughter mixing together. Cafeteria, make it quick. Golden Splendor, KTV, room 302. It's Evelyn's birthday. I frowned. Evelyn Wynn, the richest heiress in my class. What did her birthday have to do with me? Nah, I'm not going. I swallowed a bite of rice, about to hang up. Don't be like that. Evelyn specifically asked for you. Get over here. The call disconnected. I looked at the half bowl of rice left. No mood to eat anymore. Going meant splitting the bill. Tonight's cost would probably be 200 or 300 yuan. That was half a month's living expenses for me. But not going. Evelyn had called me out by name. In class, I had no friends, except for my overly enthusiastic roommate, Chuck Hayes. Offending her wouldn't do me any good. I set down the bowl and chopsticks, stood up and walked out of the cafeteria. The autumn wind was a bit chilly. I tightened my old, faded jacket. Golden Splendor wasn't far from school. I walked for 20 minutes. The server at the door glanced at me. That look carried some implication. I ignored it, headed straight to room 302 on the 3rd floor. The door wasn't fully closed. The music inside was deafening. I pushed the door open. In the spacious private room, there were over 20 people. The table was laden with fruits and all sorts of imported liquors. Evelyn Wynn sat in the center, wearing an incredibly cute dress, looking like a princess. Chuck Hayes saw me, waved frantically. Trent, over here. I walked over and sat in the corner of the sofa. No one noticed me. They were all gathered around Evelyn Wynn, laughing and chatting, singing, playing dice. I felt completely out of place here. The air reeked of money. A while later, someone said singing was getting boring. Let's play something exciting. Truth or dare. The crowd chimed in. The bottle started spinning on the table. I silently prayed it wouldn't point at me. A few times, it skimmed past. Finally, the bottle mouth pointed straight at Evelyn Wynn. The whole room cheered. One guy shouted, "Evelyn!" Truth or dare? Evelyn Wynn had had some drinks. Her cheeks flushed pink. She smiled and said, "Dare." That guy was named Liam Tate. Usually loved to show off. He rolled his eyes, looked at me. "Evelyn, do you dare bet with that guy sitting back there on the right? That's Tristan Chen." All eyes immediately turned to me. My whole body stiffened. Evelyn Wynn turned her head to look at me. Her gaze had that carefree vibe, typical of rich kids. Full of a curiosity like nothing mattered. Bet what? Liam Tate laughed loudly, his voice booming. Bet if you dare transfer 90 yuan to him right now. The whole room went silent for a second, then erupted in even louder laughter. 90 yuan. Liam, are you crazy? It's just a game. Playing that big? Yeah, no way Evelyn would. Liam Tate shrugged. Not daring, then penalty. 3 shots. He just wanted to see Evelyn win flustered, and also to see me embarrassed. Everyone looked at Evelyn win. I felt my face burning hot. 90 yuan, a number tossed out so casually from their mouths. Just a few days ago my mom called saying the house was built. Still owed 20 yuan. Worried to the point of losing sleep and appetite, I sat there like a clown. Evelyn Wynne said nothing. She just looked at me. Her gaze was very calm. No mockery, no pity. She seemed to be assessing the value of this challenge. Chuck Hayes next to me nudged me. Don't take it to heart. That Liam Tate's an idiot. I couldn't not take it to heart. When your self-respect is trampled underfoot with money, you can't help but care. Evelyn Wynne suddenly smiled. Sure. She picked up her phone from the table, opened the banking app. Everyone around was stunned, thinking she was joking. She looked up at me again. What's your phone number? The whole room went dead silent, only the music still playing. Everyone looked at Evelyn Wynne, then at me. Liam Tate's smile vanished from his face. Chuck Hayes was dazed too, mouth agape, speechless. I felt blood rushing to my brain. Phone number? She asked for my phone number. My throat was dry, couldn't utter a word. Evelyn Wynne was very patient. She held up her phone and asked again. I almost recited the numbers on instinct. She lowered her head, fingers flying across the screen. People in the room exchanged doubtful glances. Someone whispered, is she really transferring? Probably not. 90 yuan. Just for saving face, it's not worth it. I stared at her. Her expression was very focused, as if doing something utterly ordinary. A few seconds later, she set the phone down, looked up at Liam Tate. Done. Liam Tate's face looked extremely ugly. Evelyn, don't. Evelyn Wynne interrupted him, her voice calm. Play hard, pay hard, she said, then picked up her glass and took a sip. Didn't glance at me again, as if the matter had turned the page. In my pants pocket, the phone vibrated once. My hand almost trembled as I reached in. The screen was lit. A bank notification message. Your savings account ending in 9,527 has just received 90,000 CNI. Current balance 90,8882 CNI. Those numbers stung my eyes. 88 yuan and 82 cents was all my remaining living expenses for this month, plus 90 yuan. Makes 98.80 yuan and 82 cents. I shoved the phone back in my pocket, palms sweaty. I stood up. Everyone looked at me with extremely complicated expressions. Some stunned, some envious, and some waiting for the drama. I said nothing, turned and walked straight to the room door. Chuck Hayes called after me. Tristan, where are you going? I didn't look back. I walked out of golden splendor. The cold wind hit my face. I shivered, my mind completely blank. I walked the streets for a long time, not knowing where I was headed. Passing a 24-hour convenience store, I went in. I stood in front of the shelves for a while. Finally, I grabbed a box of the most expensive instant noodles, added a sausage, and a braised egg. Total payment, 15 yuan. Before, I only dared buy the 3 yuan packet noodles. I carried the stuff back to the dorm. The dorm was empty. Chuck Hayes and the others hadn't returned yet. I used the electric kettle to make the noodles. Steam rose. Finally feeling like I was alive again, I sat at the desk, took out the phone to check that message again. 90 yuan. I counted the digits over and over. This money could help my mom stop worrying to sleeplessness, help me stop going to the cafeteria for free soup, help me buy the grad school review materials I'd longed for all this time, help me live like a human being. I ate the noodles clean, not a drop of broth left. Then I took out a notebook and pen. My hand still trembled a bit, but my gaze was utterly determined. I wrote 4 words on the first page. 4-year plan. Then I started calculating. 4 years of college, total 48 months. I set monthly living expenses at 848 yuan. 48 months is 38,400 yuan. Tuition per year is 50 yuan. 3 remaining years is 15,000 yuan. Review materials and major books, estimated at about 50. House construction needs another 20 yuan. Total comes to 78,400 yuan. Leftover 11,600 yuan as emergency fund. Absolutely not to touch. I wrote out each expense clearly. This 90 yuan wasn't a gift from heaven, but Evelyn Wynn's lost bet. And also my entire life, for the next 4 years. I had to use it well. Use it to hold on until graduation, get the degree, find a good job, then pay her back with interest. When I wrote the last word, dawn was almost breaking. Looking at the plan in the notebook, my heart felt strangely at peace. The next day in class, I ran into Evelyn Wynn at the lecture hall entrance. She was standing, chatting, and laughing with some other girls. Today she wore a different dress from the one I saw yesterday. She paused briefly when she saw me, but then acted like nothing happened, turned back to gossip with her friends. I lowered my head, hurried into class. Between us was separated by 90 yuan, and that's all that remained. Just that 90 yuan. My life had changed. The most obvious change was in eating. I no longer went to the 3rd floor for free soup, but started going to the seafood counter on the 2nd floor. The shrimp stir-fry rice set cost 25 yuan. The first time I ordered it, even the cafeteria lady paused, gave me a few extra looks. I paid with a straight face, carried the tray to the corner. The shrimp was fresh and firm. I ate slowly, savoring each bite. Chuck Hayes carried his fancy tray and sat across from me. Whoa, Trent's bawling now. He looked at my shrimp tray in surprise. Hit the lottery. Yeah, I kept eating. What's that mean? You're acting weird today, buddy. He leaned in, lowered his voice. About last night. Eat your food. I cut him off. Chuck Hayes saw I didn't want to talk, pouted, and didn't ask more. Just occasionally glanced at me oddly. The milk tea shop below the dorm. Before, I only dared pass by. Now every afternoon I go buy a cup. The cheapest one. Lemon water for 8 yuan. The underclassmen working there recognized me. Still lemon water today, bro. Yeah. I took the cup and strolled back to the dorm. Could sip it for a whole hour. The taste was tangy with a hint of sweet. At the bookstore. The latest major grad school review set. Total 12 volumes. Price, 880 yuan. I'd come to look many times, but each time only dared flip through. Now I walked straight in, told the owner I'd take the whole set. While the owner packed, I paid. Hugging the heavy stack of new books out the door, the sun on me felt so warm. I no longer had to fight for seats at the library. No need to borrow old notes from others. I had my own weapons now. Weekend, Mom called again, her voice full of worry. Trent, about the money, your dad went to borrow more. But they wouldn't lend. Mom, I interrupted, don't borrow anymore. If not borrow, then what? The thugs. No, the contractors pressing. I have money. The other end went silent. After a long pause, Mom's voice choked. You do? Where'd you get that much? Did you do something stupid out there? No, Mom. My voice very calm. School just gave a scholarship. Plus, what I saved from part-time, 20 yuan. Scholarship that big? Yes, national level. I lied without batting an eye, heart steady. So, what about your living expenses? I still have enough. Send me the card number. I'll go to the bank this afternoon and transfer. I hung up. Immediately went to the bank to send 20 yuan home. Stepping out of the bank, the sky seemed bluer. The first debt in my plan notebook was crossed out. I stopped tutoring. No more kitchen help at the cafeteria. All my time went to studying. Camped out at the library, taking electives, devouring thick major textbooks. Evelyn Wynn and I were still classmates. In full cohort lectures, she sat in front, I in back. In small classes, sometimes we ended up in the same group. She never started a conversation with me. I never initiated with her. Once a group discussion needed 2 people. For a presentation, the instructor randomly paired me with her. The group looked at us, expressions full of implication. After that incident, the whole class knew that Evelyn Wynn had thrown 90 yuan to support the poorest kid in class. All sorts of rumor versions spread. Some said we were dating. Others said she was keeping me. Evelyn Wynn acted like she heard nothing. She just looked at me, asked politely, "Which part will you handle?" "The last 3 pages." I replied, "Okay." She said that and turned to discuss with others. Throughout, we had no further interaction. I researched the materials, made the PPT, before presentation. I sent her the finished file. She replied with just 2 words, "Received." Next day on stage, I presented my part. She did hers. Coordination wasn't seamless, but no mistakes. Instructor gave a pretty high score. Walking down, she ahead, me behind, near the classroom door. She suddenly stopped, turned to look at me. "Well done." That was the first thing she said to me since that night. Not a question, not a request, just a casual appraisal. Had to be. I answered. She nodded, then turned and walked away. Her back still full of pride like that night at the KTV. Ethereal. As if that 90 yuan really was just a game. She didn't care at all. But I did. Back at the dorm, I opened the 4-year plan notebook. On the flyleaf, next to Evelyn Wynn's name, I added 1 collaboration. Then, struck a heavy line through it. It was a ritual to remind myself that between her and me, besides money, there was nothing else. Sophomore year, I got a national scholarship of 80 yuan. I didn't touch this money. Stashed it intact in another card. This was income outside the plan, and the first startup capital for my repayment plan. I still strictly followed my 4-year plan. Spent exactly 800 yuan per month. Not a cent, more or less. I used a small notebook to record. Accurate to the penny. Bought a pen for 15 yuan. Noted. Ate a meal for 12 yuan. Noted. Class fund, 20 yuan. Noted. Chuck Hayes said, "I live like a robot." "Trent, is this necessary? You're not short on cash now." He looked at my expense entries, baffled. "What's the point of this?" I couldn't explain to him. He didn't understand that 90 yuan to me wasn't money, but a rope tightening around my neck. The other end in Evelyn Wynn's hand. I could only rely on myself. Pull that rope shorter bit by bit, to regain the freedom to breathe. End of sophomore 2nd semester. School held a sports meet. Every class had mandatory sign-up quotas. The advisor couldn't find anyone for the 3,000-meter run, so Chuck Hayes signed me up. "Trent, you run every day and bury yourself in the library. Your stamina's solid. Go win glory for the class." I didn't object. Running costs no money and builds health. Competition day was very sunny. I wore the most basic sports shorts and tank, stood at the starting line. The gun fired. I started running at my own pace. I didn't aim for ranking, just to finish the distance. By the last lap, I was completely exhausted. Sweat blurred my eyes, lungs burning like fire. Passing the main stands, I unconsciously looked up. Evelyn Wynn was sitting there. She sat with student union officials, in union uniform, wearing a baseball cap for shade. She seemed to be chatting with someone nearby, a faint smile on her lips. In the sunlight, her skin glowed white. She wasn't looking at the track, not even at me. In her world, this bland sports meet probably mattered less than a casual chat with friends. I withdrew my gaze, gritted my teeth and pushed forward. Crossing the finish, my whole body collapsed. I slumped on the ground. Chuck Hayes ran over to help me, gave me a water bottle. 4th place. Trent, awesome. Almost got a medal. I panted breathlessly, couldn't say a word. I just felt the distance between me and Evelyn Wynn was like this 3,000-meter track. Me down on the field giving it all, sweat-drenched, struggling miserably, and her, forever up in the high stands, carefree and untroubled. That night, back at the dorm, I opened the 4-year plan notebook, wrote a line, repayment plan. Startup capital, 80 yuan. Goal, exactly 90 yuan. This was no longer a distant fantasy. I'd laid the first brick. Time flew by. My life was like a pre-programmed routine. Go to class, eat, to the library, then sleep. I rarely joined group activities, seldom chatted with anyone. Classmates mostly got used to me always going solo. They just knew. Tristan Chen was a weirdo with impressive grades, but only I understood. I didn't dare stop, because a brief pause, and that huge sum would crush me. Junior year, I started following a professor on a project. Monthly stipend, 500 yuan. I also used free time for some online programming gigs. Extremely tiring, often up till midnight, but each month, my repayment account gained 1 or 2,000 yuan. Watching that number inch up, my heart felt a bit lighter. Evelyn's life seemed unchanging. She was still the center of crowds, still wore expensive outfits, drove supercars whose brands I couldn't name to school. We still had no interactions, just occasional encounters on the path. Her gaze skimmed over me, not lingering more than a second. That gaze like looking at a once familiar stranger. I accepted it calmly. We weren't from the same world anyway. That 90 yuan was an accident, but also a transaction. She used money to buy a win in a risky game, while I used my self-respect and 4 youthful years to trade for a chance to change fate. The transaction was still ongoing. I was still striving to become a worthy counterpart. In a blink, senior year, classes thinned out, everyone busy planning futures. Some prepping for grad exams, others civil service, others hustling for jobs. In the dorm hallway, every day filled with phone calls, interviews, and occasional stifled sobs. I was busy too, finishing thesis, prepping for written tests and interviews. At big corporations, my 4-year plan neared its end. In the notebook, every expense logged clearly. That 90 yuan I'd squeeze for all it's worth. I used it to arm my brain with knowledge. Also, to maintain my minimal self-respect. Seems Evelyn Wynn planned to go abroad. I heard from Chuck Hayes. Her family had it all arranged. Graduate from Ivy League, straight to Wall Street. Truly a winner from the starting line. Chuck Hayes' voice, full of admiration. I just nodded. No special feeling. That was the life track she was meant for. On an ordinary afternoon, I returned from the library to the dorm, passing the campus artificial lake. I spotted a familiar figure. It was Evelyn Wynne. She sat alone on a lakeside bench. No servants or attendants. No friends around. She wore a simple white dress, staring blankly at the lake. The radiant sunset enveloped her, like gilding her with a soft golden edge. She lacked her usual, haughty, distant aura. She looked a bit lonely, even fragile. I stopped, hid under a tree not far away. I didn't know why she was here alone. Maybe trouble with school applications. Or argued with friends. Many thoughts flashed, but none certain. She just sat quietly, a light breeze lifting her long hair. After a while, she took something from her bag. Seemed like a small music box. She wound it. A clear melodious tune played. It was Castle in the Sky. She held the music box in her palm, head bowed motionless. I couldn't see her expression, but I could sense a sadness emanating from her. This was an Evelyn Wynne I'd never seen. In my impression, she always shone brightly, invincible. She could casually spend 90 yuan without a care, could nonchalantly group work with me. She was like a perfect, emotionless sculpture. But now, that sculpture seemed to have a crack. I suddenly recalled freshman year. After she transferred the money, her expression when saying play hard, pay hard, calm and cool, but deep in her eyes, seemed to hide something. I didn't understand then. What was it? I still didn't know. I stood under the tree for a long time, until it was fully dark. Streetlights came on. Evelyn Wynne put away the music box, stood up, and slowly left. From start to end, she didn't notice me. Back at the dorm, for the first time, I didn't open the ledger, didn't check my repayment plan. I sat dazed at the desk for a long time, my mind full of Evelyn Wynne's lakeside silhouette and the melody of Castle in the Sky. For the first time, I realized, Evelyn Wynne might not be what she appeared. In that glamorous world, she probably had her own worries and loneliness. 90 yuan might mean nothing to her. But that adventure, that phrase play hard, pay hard, what did it mean to her? For the first time, I pondered this question, but found no answer. Between me and her was an uncrossable world. The only thing I could do was quickly complete our transaction, then fully withdraw from her world. I opened the computer, started editing my resume. Interview notices would come soon. I had to snag the best job offer. Graduation day approached day by day. I'd gotten an offer from a top domestic internet company. Salary and perks beyond my expectations. Contract signing day. I walked out of the company building, stood in the sunlight, sighed in relief. 4 years of endurance and effort finally paid off. I immediately called home to share the good news with Mom. Mom on the other end cried, kept repeating, "You've made it. My son's so capable." My eyes stung a bit. That night back at the dorm, I opened the 4-year plan notebook. The last page was my financial summary. Income, exactly 90 yuan. Expenses, tuition, 15 yuan. Living expenses, 800 yuan per month. Total, 36,800 yuan. Materials cost 4,800 yuan. Sent home, 20 yuan. Miscellaneous, 300 yuan. Total expenses, 77,900. This was just the core items. There were many petty expenses. Logged in another notebook. 4 years, 90 yuan spent down to nearly nothing. Checked bank balance, 90.88 yuan and 82 cents. Now exactly 82 cents left. Everything ended perfectly as planned. I closed the notebook. The notebook, carrying 4 youthful years, my endurance and struggle had fulfilled its mission. In my repayment account, I'd saved over 30 yuan. Still, far from the 90 goal. But now with a stable, high-paying job, clear repayment ability. The rest was just time. Graduation ceremony day, beautiful weather, everyone in caps and gowns, excitedly taking photos around campus. Laughter everywhere, hugs and goodbyes. I was like an outsider, quietly standing apart from the noisy crowd. I didn't have many friends anyway. The only close one, Chuck Hayes, had signed a job back home. Leaving on the train this afternoon, I couldn't find Evelyn Wynn. All morning, I didn't see her shadow in the crowd. Maybe she didn't come at all. For someone like her, a graduation ceremony probably meant nothing. In my heart, unclear if disappointed or relieved. I'd prepared for so long. Just wanted to thank her in person today. Also tell her I'd pay back the money. But now, couldn't even find her. Just as I was about to leave, a voice from behind. "Tristan!" I startled and turned. She too wore the bachelor's gown. Long hair, loose over shoulders. Light makeup, very beautiful. She just stood quietly, not far, looked at me and said, "Congrats, you too." My voice felt a bit dry. "Got an offer?" she asked. "Yeah, got one." "Great," she nodded, face showing no expression. Between us fell silence. People bustling around, noisy and lively, but us standing here, like an isolated, silent film scene. I wanted to bring up the money, show her the 30 yuan account, tell her my repayment plan. But the words on my lips, I swallowed back. Facing someone heading to Wall Street like her, this meager salary. My plan, wouldn't it seem ridiculous? I didn't want to expose my destitution and inferiority before her again. Just as I was about to say something, she spoke first. "I'm off. To America. Safe travels," I said. She glanced at me, gaze deep. "Tristan." She suddenly called my name. "You don't need to pay back that money." I froze. That was my lost bet. "Nothing to do with you," she said, then paused a bit, added, "You've relied on yourself to seize what you wanted, haven't you?" She said, didn't wait for my reply, turned and left. I watched her back blend into the crowd, fading farther. A black luxury car parked at the school gate. She got in, vanished in a flash. I stood rooted for a long, long time, unmoving, hand clutching the diploma and degree certificate. Heavy. She said no need to repay. She said I'd won. But my heart felt emptier than ever. Our transaction unilaterally ended by her. I didn't even have a chance to repay. The tie between us, the tie I'd poured my life into breaking, she casually severed with a wave. I was like I'd mustered all strength for a punch, but hit a soft cotton bale, helpless and lost. 4 years over. The story between me and Evelyn Wynn over too. I'd once thought so. First day at work. The mentor took me to tour the company's huge floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside were skyscrapers packed tight, everyone hurrying, faces tired but excited like elites. The air reeked of caffeine and money. This scent, very like the smell in Golden Splendor Key TV 4 years ago, but completely different. Money there was for squandering. A game. Money here was the goal. Fuel. I quickly adapted to life here. Or rather, perfectly continued my 4-year college regimen. Disciplined, efficient, clear goals. Others start at 9. I'm there at 8. Others leave at 6. I overtime till late night. Colleagues called me a grind god. At first teasing, later admiration. I didn't care. What they chased was promotions, raises, year-end bonuses, stocks, options. What I chased was a number. I got a new bank card. Whenever salary came, minus basic living costs, all the rest transferred there. I no longer forced myself to 800 yuan like in college, but kept The saving habit. I didn't buy luxuries. No pointless socializing. Sole hobby. Gym at the building base. My life simple as a straight line. 1 year later, I became core staff in the team. 2 years later, I independently handled a key project. Year-end bonus 6 figures. 3 years later, promoted to project manager, leading a small team. In my repayment account, the number long surpassed 90 yuan. I even calculated interest at the bank's highest investment rate for this loan over 8 years, rounded to 120 yuan. Money all prepared, but the creditor vanished. After graduation, Evelyn Wynn was like evaporated from the world. I'd tried finding her, scoured all social media, but found no account named Evelyn Wynn, matching her conditions. I asked Chuck Hayes. He didn't know. She went to America, was never in our world anyway. How could we stay in touch? Chuck Hayes said over the phone. He'd gone home, worked in a state unit, quietly preparing to marry. We occasionally contacted, but just trivial life stories. Evelyn Wynn's name became taboo. No one mentioned anymore. I left that 120 yuan in the card, untouched. It was like a cold tombstone, memorial to my youthful inferiority and deadlock. Also, an eternally unfinished mission, always reminding I still owed someone. 4 years later, I'd paid off my first apartment in the city. Not too big, but with a great view. I'd bought a car too. Not luxury, but enough for a steel shell to move freely. In this huge city, I stood before my home's floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the brilliant lights of countless homes out there. I had a career, my own house, car, by worldly standards. I'd succeeded, finally living as the person I'd once craved most. But deep inside, the deep hole Evelyn Wynn left was never filled. I even wondered, how was she living in America? A proud princess like her. Did she make new friends in that foreign land? Did she still play truth or dare? Would she, casually, change some broke guy's fate again? I only knew, if I couldn't find her, this debt would follow me lifelong. On a Friday evening, the long silent college class chat group suddenly buzzed back to life. The class monitor announced, next weekend reunion for 4th graduation anniversary. Location, set at a 5-star hotel buffet. The group exploded. Whoa, 4 years already. Class monitors on point. Gotta show up. Anyone in the city, no excuses. I looked at those jumping avatars and messages, but felt no interest. My current life and college friends had few common points. Going was just comparing who's better. Showing off current status, I didn't want to waste time on that. Just as I was about to close WeChat, Chuck Hayes' private message popped. Trent, you going to the reunion? Nah, not me, I replied. Come on, it's been 4 years. See old friends. Heard Liam Tate's coming too. That guy's made it big. Started his own company. The name Liam Tate, like a thorn, instantly stabbed my nerves. That year, at KTV, it was him with that mocking, vicious tone who proposed the 90 yuan bet. He was the one who nailed me to the pillar of humiliation. You go. I have overtime this weekend. I made an excuse. Quit BSing. You're a manager now. Still need to overtime? All the time? Come out. I haven't seen you in ages. I'm flying in from home for this. I couldn't refuse anymore. Reunion day. I drove to the hotel. Parking lot packed with luxury cars like BMW, Mercedes, Porsche. I parked mine in a corner. Felt just like that poor student entering golden splendor back then. Only difference, this time in a proper suit, pocket with enough money to cover this expensive dinner. The private room was full. Many had changed looks, fatter or balding. Seeing me enter, Several enthusiastically stood to greet. Tristan, whoa, you're a big shot now. Boss Trent, pleasure. Those friends who once ignored me, now all smiles. I replied politely, found a corner to sit. Liam Tate was indeed there, dressed head to toe in designer, gold-rimmed glasses, looking sharp. He saw me, actively carried a glass over. Tristan, long time no see. Heard you're killing it at that big corp? So, I replied flatly, too modest. He clinked glasses. Our class now, probably only you and Eve. Oh no, now only you're the top. He deliberately mentioned the name, then pretended to. I looked at him, said nothing. After 3 rounds of drinks, everyone started opening up. Some told old funny stories. Somehow someone brought up Evelyn Wynn. Speaking of which, what's our class beauty Evelyn Wynn up to now? Probably a lead on Wall Street, right? As soon as said, the room went quiet a bit. People glanced at each other, expressions a tad weird. Liam Tate sipped wine, sneered. What Wall Street elite? You guys dreaming? A girl curiously asked. Liam, you know some inside scoop? Liam Tate relished being the center. He cleared his throat and said, her family went bankrupt ages ago. You didn't know? Bankrupt? For real? Everyone stunned. Of course real. Liam Tate's tone gleeful at misfortune. Probably about 2 years ago. Investment failure? Got played. Capital chain snapped clean. Shouldering a massive debt. I heard it's in the hundreds of millions of yuan. Hundreds of millions of yuan. Someone gasped. What about Evelyn Wynn? Her parents were clever about it. They fled overseas overnight. They're still wanted now. Poor our Princess Evelyn. Left alone to carry all the debts. Liam Tate shrugged, his face showing no trace of sympathy. A while back, I heard, the court auctioned off every asset in her name. Now she's a total deadbeat debtor. Can't even take high-speed trains or flights. Tsk, how the tables turn. The private room fell dead silent. Everyone was shocked speechless by the news. I felt the blood in my veins freeze. My ears starting to ring. Whatever Liam Tate said next, I didn't catch a single word. I only knew Evelyn Wynn was bankrupt. The girl who once shone like the sun back then. The girl who used 90 yuan to save me that year. She had fallen. I jumped up, the chair scraping harshly against the floor. Everyone turned to look at me. I said nothing, turned and left immediately. I stepped out of the hotel, cold wind hitting my face. But I felt no coolness at all. I slumped into the car, hands gripping the steering wheel tight but clueless where to go. My mind held only one thought: find her. At all costs, find her. I started searching for her like a madman. For the first time in years, I mobilized every resource I could. I hired a private investigator to track her down. I asked colleagues in legal to search public legal documents for debt lawsuits involving her. Information started gathering toward me. What Liam Tate said was true, even worse than he described. Her father's company had gone bankrupt and liquidated. She as one of the guarantors. Wes ruled jointly liable. Real estate in her name. Cars. All bank deposits were frozen and auctioned to repay debts. But that was just a drop in the bucket. She was listed as a dishonest debtor, also known as a chronic defaulter. Restricted from luxury spending. No flying or high-speed trains. No staying in high-end hotels. An invisible net had trapped her at the city's bottom. The last info the detective gave me was, half a year ago, she rented a basement in a rundown apartment complex. Later, unable to pay rent, she was evicted by the landlord. After that, completely vanished. The trail ended there. I parked at the gate of that rundown complex, stared at the dim, damp basement entrance. stood there for a long time. I couldn't imagine how Evelyn Wynne fell from the clouds into this mud pit, nor could I picture how she shouldered all this alone. The following months, I was like a ghost, wandering every nook of the city. After work, I didn't go home, but drove to places where the homeless might gather, under bridges, parks, subway station entrances, 24-hour fast food joints. Whenever I saw a slender woman's silhouette, my heart clenched. But each time, it wasn't her. I started doubting if I'd never find her. Maybe she'd left the city, or maybe she was gone. That thought made me shudder. It was a freezing winter night. I'd just finished a week-long intensive development project at the company. Body exhausted. It was already 1 a.m. I drove on empty streets, passing an overpass, when a collision ahead caused a jam. I had to detour to a side road, circling under the bridge. Under the overpass, always many homeless, sheltering for the night. They used cardboard and old ragged blankets to build makeshift shanties. I slowed the car, headlights sweeping over huddled figures. My heart had grown numb by then. Just as the light was about to pass the last shanty, my movement suddenly froze. There lay a person, wrapped in a dirty, torn military coat, body curled into a ball, no different from the others. But outside that filthy pile of bedding, a foot was exposed. On her foot was a canvas shoe. Though faded beyond original color, I recognized the style. It was the type I'd seen countless times in cheap shoe stores near university. Evelyn Wynne never wore such shoes. Yet, my heart suddenly raced for no reason. I pulled over, turned off the engine and got out. Cold wind cut my face like knives. Step by step, I approached that figure. Surroundings dead quiet, only wind howling and my pounding heart. I reached the makeshift shanty, slowly squatted down. By the distant yellow streetlight, I saw that face clearly. Face smeared with mud, hair tangled, wild like weeds, cheeks gaunt to deformity, lips dry, peeling in patches. But those familiar features, and those eyes still stubborn even closed. It was her, definitely her. My breath stopped. Felt like a heavy hammer, smashing my chest, pain beyond words. She seemed to sense someone, stirred slightly, eyelashes trembling, barely opening a slit. Those once clear, radiant eyes, that looked at me with curiosity and distance, now held only endless fatigue and emptiness. She looked at me, gaze unfocused, as if not reacting yet. I looked at her, deep into that dazed expression. Then, I extended my hand toward her, palm open, just like 4 years ago. How she did to me on graduation day. With a calm that brooked no refusal, I heard my voice cut through the cold night, ringing clear in her ear. "Come with me." Her pupils contracted, empty gaze, instantly filled with shock and disbelief. She stared at me, then at my extended hand. Next second, from those dim eyes, big tears streamed down. They silently, rapidly rolled down her smeared cheek, her tears like long accumulated ice, finally melting in this moment. A silent collapse. No wailing, no sobbing. They just flowed quietly, washing away dirt on her face, leaving stark streaks. I didn't urge her, said nothing more. We just like that, one kneeling, one lying, facing each other in the biting wind under the city overpass. World as if muted, only occasional tire friction, echoing from afar, and her desperate tears, almost carried away by the wind. After a long while I stood, removed my expensive cashmere coat, bent and gently covered her frail body, the coat still warm from me, and high-end woody cologne scent. This warmth and fragrance starkly contrasted her moldy, sour smell. Her body trembled slightly, as if touched in a sore spot, tears flowing even fiercer. She tried to push the coat away, but she was too weak. Arm lifted halfway and dropped. I gave her no chance to refuse. I squatted again, with undeniable strength, grabbed her icy arm, pulled her from that filthy bedding. She was light as a feather. I almost half carried her, supporting her staggering, near-falling body. She walked unsteadily, each step extremely arduous. From the shanty to my parked car, just a few dozen meters, felt like ages. I opened the door, placed her in the passenger seat. She huddled in the spacious seat, looking even frailer, my coat wrapped around her, like a child in adult clothes. I closed the door, sat in the driver's seat, turned the heater to max. Warm air blew out. She started shivering uncontrollably, teeth chattering. That's the body's reaction when too cold suddenly meets warmth. I didn't ask where she wanted to go, nor what happened these years. I just silently started the car, merged into traffic. She said nothing, turned to watch neon lights flashing by the window. Those brilliant lights, reflected in her empty eyes, but stirred no ripple. She was like a doll with soul extracted, no interest left in the once her glamorous world. Car entered my apartment's underground parking. I turned off, got out, went around to open her door. "We're here." She didn't move, kept the same pose, staring out the window. I waited patiently. After a long time, she slowly turned, gaze full of haze and uncertainty. I extended my hand before her, just like earlier under the bridge. This time she hesitated a bit, then placed her icy hand, full of dirt and small scratches, gently in my palm. I gripped tight, led her out and into the elevator. The shiny mirror on the elevator wall reflected us clearly. One in neat suit, upright posture, classic city elite vibe. One in rags, haggard appearance, like a refugee lost from another world. So ironic, yet real. I used fingerprint to open the door. Warm lights shone bright. My apartment wasn't big, but cleaned spotless by me. Minimalist Nordic style. Everything neatly arranged. Evelyn Wynne stood at the door, dared not enter. She lowered her head to look at her shoes, no longer showing original color. Then at the glossy wood floor, feet unconsciously stepping back. "Come in," I said. I took a brand new pair of slippers from the cabinet, placed before her. She hesitantly changed, stiffly followed me to the living room. I pointed to the bathroom. "Go, take a shower. Hot water anytime. Towels and clothes in the cabinet." I had no women's clothes, so could only find in my wardrobe a set I'd never worn. Brand new cotton sportswear, dark. She obediently entered the bathroom like a robot. Soon after, water flowed inside. I went to the kitchen, opened the fridge. Fridge full of imported foods, fresh milk, steaks, and fresh veggies, fruits. But I didn't know what to make for her. Her stomach probably couldn't handle heavy now. Finally, I measured a small bowl of rice, rinsed and put in clay pot. Low heat to simmer plain porridge. Water sound in bathroom lasted long. So long I worried if something happened inside. Just as I couldn't hold back, about to knock. Water stopped. 10 minutes later, bathroom door creaked open. She stepped out, wet hair draped on shoulders. In my oversized sportswear, pants legs too long, baggy, covering ankles. She looked freshly washed, revealing original looks. Skin very pale, but sickly white, bloodless. Thin to high cheekbones, sunken eyes, shy, chin sharp to scary. On that once proud, radiant face, now only fatigue and brokenness. She dared not look at me. Head down, hands fidgeting with hem. I scooped the simmered porridge into a bowl on the table. I pushed the bowl to her. Eat something. My voice very calm. She looked up at the steaming plain porridge, then at me, eyes just washed by hot water, filled with tears again. Drop by drop fell into the bowl, creating tiny ripples. Finally, she picked up the bowl. Her hand shook violently, porcelain spoon, clinking against bowl. In delicate sounds, she bowed low, spoon by spoon, swallowed the plain porridge mixed with tears, into her mouth. At first, mechanical swallowing, but then, as if long-suppressed hunger awoke, her pace quickened. Bowl emptied in a flash. I said nothing, took the bowl and scooped half more. She didn't refuse. Silently took and ate on. After second bowl, she set down the spoon. With food in stomach, her color seemed a bit better. No longer that scary pallor. I cleared the dishes, then pointed to the guest room next to master bedroom. You sleep there. Rest early. Guest room door open. Inside bed made with clean sheets, a wardrobe, and window overlooking city night. At the door, looking at that soft, comfy bed, her eyes full of longing, but dared not approach, as if it wasn't a bed, but a dream she didn't deserve. Go in, I repeated, tone commanding no refusal. Then she snapped to, head down, hurried in, then gently closed the door. I returned to my room, but felt no sleepiness. I could hear faint sounds from next room, like stifled sobbing at its peak. My heart like squeezed by an invisible hand, tightening in waves. I'd found her, brought her home. This should be the moment. I'd planned countless times to complete salvation and repayment, yet I felt no relief or joy at all. Only a heavy, nameless pain. The girl who once used 90 yuan, like a god, pulling me from mud that year, now needed me to use a bowl of plain porridge to sustain basic life. Fate's irony and cruelty clear now. The following days, between us formed a strange tacit understanding. I still went to work normally. She stayed home. She slept a lot. First day, almost 20 hours straight. As if compensating all missed peaceful sleep. These years in one go. She still said nothing. No communication between us. Before work, I'd prepare simple breakfast on table. After work, bring dinner. I bought her new phone. New SIM at all web. I bought her many new clothes. Not expensive dresses, but hoodies, t-shirts and jeans. Simple, comfy. I put them in her room wardrobe. She silently ate what I prepared, wore what I bought. But ultimately she was like a transparent shadow, living in this apartment, quiet to near non-existence. I could sense she used this silence to maintain her last pitiful self-respect. She didn't want to communicate with me, because opening up meant admitting her failure, admitting wretchedness, admitting she needed my charity and pity. I knew I had to give her time. Change came on the fourth day. I came home from work, found the dishes in sink, from morning before work washed clean, neatly on drying rack, apartment floor mopped too, cleaner than when I did it. Entering living room, I saw her on the sofa, no longer hiding in room. She just sat quietly there, watching city sunset through floor-to-ceiling window, back thin as paper. Hearing my return, her shoulders trembled imperceptibly. She stood, turned to me, lips moving, seemed about to say something, but ultimately nothing. Head down, headed to her room. Wait, I called her back. She stopped, back to me. You don't need to do these, I said. Her body stiffened. After long, she turned, first time looking straight at me. Those eyes swirled with complex emotions, gratitude, humiliation, struggle, and some inexplicable resolve. Then finally, she spoke. This was her first words to me. Since coming here, voice hoarse and dry, like sandpaper's rubbing. I can't just freeload here, her voice tiny, but like a nail, pierced deep in my heart. At this point, still quibbling over this, she was still that arrogant Evelyn Wynne from before. I looked at her, heart mixed. I went to study, from deepest drawer in bookshelf, took a notebook, a most ordinary ledger, with slightly worn cover, back to living room, to her, flipped open and handed. She puzzled, looked down, when her gaze hit 4-year plan on first page. Pupils suddenly contracted. Below those words, my slender, neat handwriting detailed every plan for that 90 yuan. Tuition, living expenses, books, materials, sent home, item by item, clear, dot. I pointed to living expenses entry, told her, that year you used 90 yuan to cover my rent and living for 4 years. My voice calm, but full of undeniable logic. Now it's my turn. She stared dazed at the notebook. Dense numbers and words. Things she'd long forgotten. A bet thought as game. Yet another's survival contract using. Full 4 youthful years. In most arid, devout way executed. Her fingertips started trembling uncontrollably. She reached out, wanted to touch familiar writing on paper, but dared not. Eyes always still as waveless lake these days. Finally, something completely shattered. This 4-year plan like a key. Finally pried open long-sealed emotion door. She couldn't keep that fragile calm anymore. She covered her face. Body slowly slumped down. Shoulders shook violently. Long-suppressed cry finally burst through her fingers. Not silent tears. Not muffled sobs, but heart-wrenching wail from depths, as if crying out all grievances, pain, despair, and fear endured these years. I didn't go support her, said no comfort. I knew what she needed now wasn't cheap sympathy, but a place to fully collapse and vent. I just quietly stood aside, placed tissue box by her hand. Like a silent guardian, let her cry echo in the quiet apartment. She cried long, so long, voice hoarse, body trembling lightly from exhaustion, then gradually stopped. She knelt like a lost child, shoulders still quivering. I poured warm water for her. She took, sipped small. Emotions steadied a bit. Get up, floor's cold, I said. She held sofa, staggered up, and sat. I placed the notebook on coffee table before her. Living room fell into long silence. After long, she spoke in hoarse voice. Sorry. Hearing her, I was slightly surprised. I looked at her. About that year. Sorry, she bowed, voice full of remorse. I really didn't know that money to you. No need to apologize, I interrupted. On the contrary, I should thank you. Without that money, there'd be no me today. I said sincerely. That 90 yuan wasn't just money. It was light in my darkest moment. Soul lifesaver, straw winds, grabbed sinking in mud die. It shaped me, fulfilled me. She looked up, red eyes at me, lips moving. Finally asked, why? Her voice, light, like asking me, also self-questioning, why so good to me? Looking at her eyes, full of confusion and incomprehension. I didn't answer directly, but took phone from pocket, unlocked, opened banking app, selected specific account page, handed to her. She took puzzled, seeing the number on screen. Her whole body froze. Count balance, 120,000 yuan. This is, she couldn't believe her eyes, looked at me. This is yours. I said, 90 principal, plus interest over 8 years, calculated at bank's highest yield. I prepared long ago. Just couldn't find you. Evelyn Wynn glued the digits on phone screen. This 120 compared to her family's massive debt. Just drop in bucket. But she understood. Its meaning long surpassed material value. It was my obsession over 8 years. Unextinguished lighthouse. In my solitary dark journey, it was what I'd poured life to reclaim. A man's self-respect, and more. I wanted to prove to her. Between us, not simply giver and receiver, but fair transaction. Finally, she understood why I searched hard for her, brought her home, cared for her like this. This wasn't empathy, not pity, less condescending grace. This was repayment, a solemn handover ritual. Delayed 4 years. She returned the phone, hands covering face. This time, no cry, just body ceaseless trembling. I looked at her. A deep void in my heart long seemed filled this moment. I stepped to, sat beside her. This time, no distance kept. I reached out, gently placed on her trembling shoulder. Evelyn Wynn. I called her name, voice gentler than ever. It's over. She dropped hands, lifted tear-streaked face to me. Under dim yellow light, her eyes, no longer empty and numb, but like stars twinkling inside, bit by bit reigniting life hope. She looked at me long. Then corners, slowly, curved up slightly. A extremely fragile smile, but extremely precious. Like first green sprout from frozen soil. After endless winter, I knew the transaction of money and dignity, spanning 8 years, now truly ended, and a new story just began. Next morning, I woke to bright day. Since moving here, first time slept through till natural wake. Out of bedroom. Surprised Evelyn Wynn already up. No longer curled on sofa like before, but standing before huge floor-to-ceiling window. Morning sun through glass enveloped her figure in faint golden haze. In my baggy sportswear, hands holding warm water, quietly gazing at awakening city outside. Hearing my footsteps, she turned. A good night's sleep seemed to restore some vitality. Eyes no longer empty, like deep still lake after turmoil, though bottom unseen, at least surface, no deathly stillness. Good morning, she said softly. First time she initiated greeting me. Good morning, I nodded. Went to kitchen. Took milk and eggs from fridge. Hey, she followed. Stood at kitchen door. Seemed hesitant. Can I use your computer? Sure, password's your birthday, I said without turning. I sensed her body pause. I still didn't turn. Continued beating eggs. That password I set casually when first moved here. Even I unclear why used her birthday. Perhaps a beer bull. Subconsciously, this home, tied to that 8-year transaction. When I brought fried eggs and hot milk to table, she sat at computer browsing something. I didn't disturb her. We ate breakfast silently. First time we sat together. Ate a meal like normal roommates. Atmosphere no longer oppressive and awkward like before, but delicate, cautious, quiet. These years. She suddenly spoke, eyes still on computer screen. You've lived well, right? So, I replied. Work busy, but perks decent. I saw your thesis ranked first in department. She said. I was surprised she noticed such things. You too, I said. I heard you got up an offer. Mentioning this, her eyes darkened suddenly, like a star extinguished. Yeah, she softly replied. Said no more. Quickly finished remaining milk. I knew I'd touched her wound accidentally. I'll wash dishes. She stood to clear. No need. I held her hand. Leave it. My fingertips accidentally touched her skin. Her hand icy, thin to almost feel bones. She shocked, quickly withdrew. Tristan, she looked up seriously. I can't just idle here forever. I need a job. Your body not fully recovered. I'm fine now. Her tone, firm. I have looked. Many jobs. Don't require high degrees or skills. Like restaurant server or supermarket cashier. I can do them. I looked at her. At that stubborn face. I knew making Evelyn Wynn a server, worse than killing her. But she'd rather that than accept my charity. I silent a while. Fine. I said, but before that, you need new ID. And bank card too. I pushed a 120 yuan card before her. Password still your birthday. She looked at card. Lips tight, didn't take. This isn't charity. I looked in her eyes. Word by word. This you deserve. Return on your investment in me that year. Use it to start new life. This is our transaction's final part. Word transaction. Our tacit understanding. It gave her way out to accept my help. Gave me reason to care for her legitimately. Finally, she reached for the card. Fingers still slightly trembling. Weekend, I took her to police for new ID. During photo, she seemed tense. Perhaps long since facing camera. She even unsure how to make normal expression. Miss, please smile a bit natural. Photographer a bit impatient. She tried lip curve, but forced smile uglier than cry. I stepped up, apologized to photographer, squatted before her. Look at me, I said. She looked up, dazed at me. Remember freshman sports meet? I suddenly asked. She paused. You sat in stands, in student union uniform, wearing white baseball cap. But did. I described scene I'd memorized long. That day very sunny. You chatted engrossed with beside. Smiled happily. My voice gentle, like telling unrelated story. Her eyes gradually changed. Das Gons. Replaced by misty veil. Smile like then again, okay? I softly said. She looked long. Closed eyes. Deep breath. Opening again. She looked at lens. Slowly, faint smile. That smile, a bit sad, serene, and Evelyn Wynn's pride. Even she, unaware. Click. Sound. Moment captured. Yidi done. We went to bank. Process more complicated than thought. When staff entered her name in system. Computer screen. Instantly, red alert. Dishonest enforced debtor. Staff face changed instantly. Looked at, you said, with wary, contemptuous eyes. Sorry, miss. His tone, cold, official. Per regulations? We can't issue new savings card for you. All accounts in your name are frozen. Evelyn Wynn's face instantly pale. She stood there, like convict sentenced, publicly, enduring odd looks around. I sensed her body trembling. I stepped to shield her, block unfriendly gazes. Thanks, we know. I led her out bank. Outside sun glaring, but she felt no warmth. Useless Tristan, she leaned on wall. Voice, infinite despair. I'm a deadbeat debtor. Don't even qualify for bank card. I won't find job. No company wants employee. Can't even get payroll card. This society has no place for me anymore. She hugged knees, slowly, slumped, buried face in arms. Hopes barely kindled days ago, shattered by cruel reality. Seeing her desperate back, my heart pricked like needles. But I know, comfort now hollow. I took phone, called senior from college. He's now partner at prestigious law firm. Hello senior, it's me Tristan. I have legal issue to consult, about enforced bad debtors. To remove from blacklist. What procedures? I spoke loud, enough for slumped Evelyn Wynn to hear clearly. Her shoulders stopped, trembling. She slowly looked up at me, incredulous. I didn't look at her. Focused, listening explanation. Other end. Occasionally nodding. Questioning. Yes. Main debt. From joint guarantee liability on company, bankruptcy, party no asset evasion, or hiding. Yes. I understand. So reach settlement. With main creditors. Fulfill partial repayment. Can apply court removal, right? Yes. Thanks, senior. Someday, I'll treat you meal. I hung. Squatted before her. You heard? Not as bad as you think. This isn't dead end. Just tricky procedure. I'll find best lawyer for you. We'll contact each creditor. Negotiate. Plan repayment. Your debts. We'll pay together. I looked in her eyes. Affirmed undeniably. You're not alone. Her tears gushed like springs. But this time, in those tears no mere despair. Hiring lawyers to review debts. Contact creditors. Series complex legal procedures. Officially planned. I mobilized all connections, resources accumulated years. Senior lawyer introduced. Team specializing debt disputes. Extremely professional, efficient. Evelyn Wynn told all she knew. 2 lawyers. Mess from her dad's company, more complex than thought, involving many banks and dozens individual creditors. Total astronomical. But, as lawyers said, as long as person's there, willing to solve, always way. They started trying. Approach few largest bank creditors. Discuss debt restructuring. Settlement. This long process. Can't done overnight, but at least first step taken. Knowing professionals handling this mess. Heavy stone in Evelyn Wynn's heart finally lightened a bit. Seemed relieved some. Her mental state visibly improved. No longer locked in room all day. When I came home, occasionally saw her on sofa, using tablet for online courses. Business management. Or design. Fields she once knew. She like long parched sponge. Greedily absorbing every drop. Efforting to reclaim wasted time. One evening, I was handling work in study. She carried a glass. Hot milk in. Still busy. She set milk by my hand. Yeah. Project's critical phase. I typed. Head not lifting. She didn't leave, but stood before my bookshelf, observing arrangements. This place of yours is too bare. She suddenly said. I paused. Looked up at her. Besides, major books. All bland decor items. She pointed at bronze globe on shelf. This too looks so outdated. Her tone carried unarguable professional critique. That very familiar tone. Tone of Princess Evelyn Wynn. I suddenly found it amusing. Really? I leaned back, interested looking at her. So, pair your wisdom. How to arrange. At least some artistry. She stepped closer, pointed at blank wall behind me. Here hang a painting. Cool tones. A bit abstract. It'll balance room's stark lines. Make space softer. She gestured in air while speaking. In her eyes, sparkled confident, focused light. That was the aura. That only appeared when she discussed the field she loved. In that moment, she was no longer the fallen one, needing rescue. She had returned to being the radiant Evelyn Wynn, always pursuing perfect beauty. Sounds like you know your stuff. I said, of course. She lifted her chin, a proud smile faintly appearing at the corner of her lips. In college, I studied art history, and my dad used to collect a ton. Mentioning her dad, her smile suddenly faded, but the light in her eyes never dimmed. So, I'll leave it to you. What? She froze. I'm officially inviting you to be the art consultant for this house. I said seriously. Help me redecorate this home. Budget's entirely up to you. She looked at me, as if still not quite processing it. I picked up the pen on the desk. wrote a line on a sticky note, then pushed it toward her. "This is your first deposit." On the note it read, "Art consultant fee, 1 bowl of shrimp rice." She stared at the words, first stunned, then, as if suddenly remembering something, she couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. That was the first time she laughed out loud since coming here. Her clear laughter rang like wind chimes. "1 bowl won't be enough, you know." She lifted her head, eyes curved in a playful, teasing look at me. My taste back then was worth at least a whole semester of shrimp rice. "Deal sealed," I laughed and said. The city lights outside the window blazed like the Milky Way. I knew Evelyn Wynne had truly, finally come back, and the story between me and her had turned to a completely new page. No longer debt or repayment, but companionship and a fresh beginning. Evelyn Wynne treated this art consultant role like an official contract. The very next day she dove right in. When I went to work, she no longer watched those online courses, but fully utilized the high-spec computer in the study. She browsed all kinds of interior design websites, personal pages of artists and online galleries. Like a professional curator, she even downloaded specialized drawing software, using mouse and keyboard, meticulously, bit by bit, creating perspective renders for my apartment. This was clearly a field she'd never touched before, but she learned incredibly fast. Her aesthetic sense was innate, nurtured from childhood. In an elite environment, she knew what was beautiful and how to combine different elements to create harmonious beauty. That evening when I got home, she held the tablet like an employee reporting to the boss, face serious as she presented her research results. "The living room wall color here is too dated. I suggest repainting it warm gray, or wallpaper with raised texture. That'll add depth to the space. Your sofa has too many straight lines. Looks stiff. Needs curves to soften it. We could replace that square coffee table with a round one or something organic. And the lighting too. Just one main light is too monotonous. Add a floor lamp in the corner, and a table lamp by the sofa, using accent lights to create atmosphere." She talked nonstop, eyes sparkling with professionalism and confidence. I rarely interrupted, just listened quietly. I looked at her, as if seeing the shadow from years ago in that group discussion class. And Evelyn Wynne, who could effortlessly offer sharp revision to the plan we'd pulled all-nighters on. Back then, to her, I was only awe and distance. But now, I just found her in this moment truly beautiful. "You're right about everything." When she finished, I concluded, "So, when do we go shopping?" She paused, seemingly surprised I'd agreed so quickly, and accepted her whole plan. "What about the budget?" she asked cautiously. "Up to you." I said, "You're the consultant." She bit her lip, lowered her head and scrolled on the tablet for a while, then showed me a number. The figure wasn't even enough for the coat I was wearing. Too little. I frowned. "Not at all." She immediately countered, her tone very firm. "We don't need to buy expensive branded stuff. Beautiful doesn't mean it has to be costly. I know a creative market that's only open weekends. Lots of independent designers and artists sell their work there. We can go check it out. We'll find tons of cool stuff." Her eyes sparkled, full of anticipation. It was the first time I'd seen on her face that excited expression of hunting for affordable, yet quality, treasures. It was completely opposite her old image, yet strangely harmonious. Saturday, I drove her to that creative market on the city's outskirts. The market was held in an abandoned old factory, full of industrial style and artistic vibe. Young faces everywhere, and stalls of all kinds of strange items. Evelyn Wynne was like a fish in water. She led me weaving through every booth, For each item, she had her own unique comments. Look, this candlestick is made of concrete. The shape is really interesting. And only 30 yuan. And this wall-hanging rug is handwoven. This color combo is so bold. It'll look amazing on the wall. And this painting too. She stopped. In front of an abstract art stall, eyes lighting up. This artist's use of color has Matisse vibes. But the brushstrokes are much freer. Sir, how much for this one? The stall owner was a young art student. Gave a very reasonable price. Evelyn Wynne turned to me, eyes both seeking approval and full of desire. I nodded. She immediately paid, carefully rolled up the not-too-large painting. The whole afternoon, we covered the entire market. She bought a lot. Vases, candlesticks, wall rugs, several quirky sculptures, and that painting too. Nothing expensive, but combined together, her unique taste shone clearly. I trailed behind, carrying bags and paying. Like a diligent assistant, sunlight streamed through the factory's huge windows, casting dappled light on her. She hugged the painting, haggling with the stall owner, 10 yuan at a time, smiling till her eyes squinted, looking at her profile. I suddenly realized all my efforts and struggles over these 8 years seemed to lead to this moment, to be able to help her. After weathering fate's storms, still like now, smile happily from the heart, for pure good things. On the way home, she hugged her spoils, leaning on the passenger seat, content like a cat that just stole fish. Tristan, she suddenly said. Thanks for what? Thanks for trusting my taste, she said. I smiled faintly, said nothing. Back home, she couldn't wait, and started her renovation right away. She stood on a chair, hung the abstract painting on the study wall. The cool-toned painting immediately balanced the space's monotony. She placed the 30 yuan concrete candlestick on my nightstand. She laid the hand-woven rug on the cold wooden floor. Every nook in the house began bearing her personal mark. That night I stepped into the study, looked at the painting on the wall, stood speechless for a long time. This cold place I'd lived alone in for so long, on that day, finally began to have the warmth of a home. Progress from the legal team came faster than expected. After several tough negotiation rounds, they successfully reached a preliminary settlement with the largest creditor, a state-owned bank. The bank agreed, as long as Evelyn Wynne could repay 20% of principal within the stipulated time. They could apply to court to temporarily remove her from the blacklist, restoring her basic civil rights, like opening a bank account or using public transport. This was definitely a huge breakthrough, but that 20% was still an astronomical figure, enough to crush any ordinary person. The lawyer placed a thick stack of documents on the coffee table before us. Face solemn, Mr. Chen, Ms. Guiyu. This is the best deal we could secure at this point. The bank gives us 3 months to gather the full amount. If overdue, all previous efforts go down the drain. Evelyn Wynne looked at the settlement agreement, her face turning pale again. The little hope just kindled in her was shaken by this cruel reality. After seeing the lawyer out, the apartment fell into deadly silence. She spoke, voice dry. I'll sell all those paintings and collectibles. My dad hid some stuff overseas before. If we can find... No, I interrupted her, voice calm but firm. Even selling everything would be a drop in the bucket. Her shoulders slumped. The little strength just gathered, instantly drained. Seeing her despair, I went to the study, took out the laptop, opened it, and pushed it toward her. On the screen was a stock trading interface, along with a detailed personal asset report. Stocks, funds, financial products, and angel investments in startups. These years. Besides, working like crazy. I devoted all free time to the capital market, just like planning that 90 yuan in college. I'd been extreme and meticulous. With every penny earned, I was no longer just a code-writing engineer. The accumulated assets these years, far more than she imagined. Evelyn Wynne stared at the dancing numbers and categories. That dazzled her. Speechless, guys, and you'll see that now. This is enough for the first settlement payment. And still plenty left. I said, closed the laptop, looked into her eyes. I told you, your debts will repay together. This isn't empty words, but this is your money. Tristan! She stood up excitedly. I can't use your money. I've already ruined my life. I can't drag you down too. This isn't dragging you down, Evelyn Wynne. I stood, stepped to her, looked straight in the eye. This is another transaction. You forgot? I'm investing in your company, helping you handle debts. Get through this tough phase. Once your company stabilizes, I want 51% shares. Fair enough, right? She froze. Invest in company, shares? She looked at me, at my serious face, not looking like a joke at all. She suddenly understood. I was using this way to protect her last pitiful self-respect. I always did, using the coldest business logic to wrap the warmest, softest kindness. Heck, I have nothing left. Her voice trembled. I have no company, nothing at all. You will. I looked at her, voice resolute, as if stating an obvious truth. You can register a new company, call it Win Design, or any name you like. You're the founder and sole artist, and I'm your first investor. Tears welled up unexpectedly. This time, she didn't sob aloud, just silently looked at me. After long, she nodded hard, a nod heavy as 1,000 pounds. From that day, the apartment's atmosphere subtly changed. We were no longer just landlord and art consultant, but startup partners. She no longer drowned in old failures, but started business planning for our new company. She researched markets, analyzed competitors, even began trying to reconnect with some old contacts in the art world. The decisive air of a business elite gradually returned to her, and I handled the toughest financial and legal issues. I sold most stocks, pooled capital, prepared to pour into our joint venture. Our life, suddenly, had a strange goal, perfectly in sync and harmonious. One evening, I worked late overtime before coming home, pushing the door. What greeted me wasn't darkness, but warm lights filling the room, and rich, fragrant food smells. Evelyn Wynne wore a cute cartoon apron. Who knows where she dug it up from? Carried a plate from the kitchen. Tomato scrambled eggs. The most ordinary home dish. I saw you've been too busy to eat properly lately. She set the plate down, a bit shyly untied the apron. I just threw it together. Hope it suits your taste. On the table, 2 savory dishes and soup. Besides tomato, scrambled eggs, stir-fried broccoli, and pork rib soup. I looked at the dishes, then at her, heart suddenly melting. I sat down, picked up chopsticks for a piece of tomato egg. Tastes surprisingly good, delicious. Hearing me, she visibly relaxed, a faint smile on her face. When I studied abroad, I taught myself, Nhi. She sat across from me, softly said, I missed home a lot then. This was the first time she voluntarily mentioned life overseas. I ate, quietly listening to her pour out everything. Her life in a strange land. First time in a supermarket. First time cooking alone. First time hiding to cry from homesickness. She told calmly, as if narrating someone else's story. But I could picture a princess who'd never lifted a finger, facing alone poverty and loneliness. That meal we ate in extreme quiet, but also extreme warmth. After eating, she insisted on washing dishes. I didn't fight her, just leaned at the kitchen door watching her busy back. Under the light, her profile looked so gentle and beautiful. I suddenly felt, debts, whatever. Startup, whatever. None of that mattered anymore. I just wanted these days to last forever. Just a bit longer. Life, like a precise machine, under both our efforts, began running steadily. Daytime I handled projects at company, and our debt crisis. Evenings home always had a light and hot meal waiting. Evelyn Wynn poured all her energy into her new career. She registered the company, built a personal website, even started posting interior aesthetic views and design works on art platforms. Her talent, unquestionable, quickly attracted a small fan base. Though no real commercial orders yet, every day she was busy and full of energy. Our relationship entered an extremely comfortable state. We were harmonious housemates, startup comrades, side by side. Sometimes I felt blurred, like a long married couple. Weekend, fridge empty. Let's go to the supermarket. She waved a list in front of me. I nodded, grabbed the car keys. First time we went supermarket together. Like a normal couple. Supermarket crowded, full of everyday life breath. Evelyn pushed the cart, seriously comparing items on shelves. She could choose different yogurt brand for a few cents difference, or buy impractical Italian pasta. Beyond moral tea. I trailed behind, watching her, sometimes meticulous, calculating, sometimes childishly excited. Found her incredibly adorable. While we queued at checkout, a voice full of doubt sounded beside. Is that Tristan Chen? I turned, saw a stylishly dressed woman, looking at me surprised. It took a moment to recall the name from memory corner. College classmate, named Lily Lamb. Back then roomed with Evelyn Wynn. Hi, I politely nodded. Lily Lamb's gaze swept me, stopped on Evelyn Wynn, standing beside. Seeing Evelyn's face clearly, surprise instantly turned to shock, mixed with glee. Like waiting for drama. Evelyn Wynn? She raised her voice, making everyone around turn. Oh my God, it's really you! I thought I was mistaken. How did you? She trailed off, but her head-to-toe scrutinizing look, full of contempt, said it all. Evelyn Wynn, in plain white t-shirt and jeans, bare face, no makeup, though complexion much better than when I found her, still looked utterly haggard, compared to Lily Lamb's elaborate makeup, covered in designer brands. Evelyn's whole body stiffened, face drained of blood. She instinctively wanted to hide, find somewhere to escape. I stepped forward, silently blocked her, shielding from Lily Lamb's rude gaze. Long time no see. My voice cold. We have things to do, going first. Saying that, I took the cart from Evelyn's hand, pushed to leave. Hey, what's the rush? Lily Lamb still followed, unwilling to let go. Her gossip blood fully stirred. Old classmates. Meet up, chat a bit. Heard from Liam Tate. Your family. Now you're living with Tristan. Her tone full of sarcasm and malice, as if saying, look at the once noble princess, now having to rely on the broke guy she once despised. I stopped, turned coldly to her. Lily Lamb. I enunciated each word. Watch your mouth. What? Evelyn is my partner now. And my family. The words family, I said with iron firmness. Lily Lamb was intimidated by my cold gaze and overwhelming presence. Mouth open but dared not speak. I ignored her, took Evelyn Wynn's hand, led her out of the supermarket amid strange stares. Evelyn's hand, icy and trembling non-stop. Back in the car, she said nothing, just quietly stared out the window. shoulders slightly shaking. I didn't start the engine yet, nor spoke. I knew that awkward encounter had torn open again the psychological defense she'd struggled to build. It cruelly reminded her that in people's eyes, she was still the joke of falling from peak to abyss. After a long while, she turned, red eyes looking at me. Tristan, her voice choked. Just now, thank you. I told you, you're my family. I looked at her. I won't let anyone bully you. My voice very calm, but held unshakable strength. She looked at me, tears falling like broken beads. Why are you so good to me? She sobbed, asking the question we discussed many times already. Looking at her tear-soaked face, something in my heart crashed powerfully. 8 years since that truth or dare game between us, always separated by a curtain called transaction and debt. I'd always carefully maintained that boundary because I knew it protected her and myself. But just now, in the supermarket, when family left my mouth, I knew I'd torn that curtain myself. I no longer wanted business logic as excuse. I reached out, gently wiped tears from your face with fingertips, then leaned in slowly closer. In the car's confined space, belonging only to us, I placed a kiss on your lips. Your body instantly stiffened, eyes wide in utter shock, lips cold, still tasting salty tears, but so soft. That kiss light and gentle, no desire, just a solemn declaration, delayed for 8 full years. I lifted my head, pressed my forehead to yours, looked deep into those flustered eyes, because since receiving that 90 yuan 8 years ago, I stared at you, word by word, clearly and sincerely saying, you are no longer just my creditor. You are the light I've looked up to for 4 years. Also, the sole goal I've strived for. All these years. That kiss, like a stone thrown into still lake, in your turbulent heart, opening ripples that wouldn't stop. You could clearly feel warmth from my lips, and clean woody scent, full of security, on me. When I pulled away, you stayed rigid, mind completely blank. What did he just say? He said you are the light he's looked up to for 4 years. He said, you are the sole goal he's strived for these 4 years. Those words like gentle bombs, exploding in your ears, shattering the psychological defense you'd struggled to build against reality. But this time, what emerged wasn't bleeding wounds, but something buried under ruins you'd long forgotten. A faint ray of hope, your throat dry, speechless, tears still clinging to lashes, looking so wretched yet comical. Are you pitying me? That was the only explanation you could think of now. Because he'd seen your misery. Because he'd just protected you in front of old classmate. So he used this way to give cheap comfort. Pity you? Tristan looked at you. No trace of pity in his eyes. Only something deep you couldn't understand. Evelyn Wynne, have you forgotten? 8 years ago, between us, who was more pitiful? I wore that old faded jacket, stepped into that money-stinking KTV, couldn't even afford my share of a meal. In your eyes then, I probably wasn't even worth a joke. His voice very calm, like telling someone else's story. Back then, did you ever pity me? He asked. You shook head unconsciously. No, you admitted. Back then you were high above. Never tasted hardship. You looked at Tristan, like looking at a being from another dimension. Curious, puzzled, but absolutely no pity or sympathy. Those weren't emotions on the same level. You didn't, Tristan said. You just used a clumsy way you yourself didn't realize to give me a chance. You used 90 yuan to build me a bridge, gave me chance to escape that dark mud pit, to climb to the other side and see. From that day, You always stood at the other end of the bridge. Every day I ran full strength on that bridge, never daring to stop. Just by looking up I saw you. You were my direction. I never thought I'd really stand beside you one day. I just wanted when I reached the end, to have enough standing to face you, and repay everything I owed you, properly and honorably. There came a day to truly stand beside you. He just wanted when reaching the end, to have enough standing to face you, and repay everything owed you, properly and honorably. He'd spent 8 full years. Finally, reached the end. He reached out, once more gently wiped tears from my face, eyes burning with sincerity. But he realized you no longer stood at the other end. You'd fallen into a mud pit deeper than his back then. So this time, his voice turned unusually gentle. Let me build you a bridge. My tears couldn't hold back anymore. So, that's how it was. So that game I'd long forgotten, that money I'd never cared about, in his heart, left such a deep mark. So a stone I casually threw, truly, changed the entire destined flow of one life. And now that flow turned back, wanting to save a withered one like me. I couldn't say another word. Just let him shine into my chaotic world. A light named Tristan. I don't know how he got home. Only remember when he started the car. He naturally held my icy hand resting on the pillow, his hand wide, warm and strong. The whole way he said nothing, just gripped my hand with force that allowed no refusal. Back at the apartment, he helped me put things in the fridge, then went to the kitchen as usual to prepare dinner. I stood in the living room, watching his busy back in the kitchen, tall and solid, bringing strange peace to my heart. The quiet poor student, the one I once left far behind, at some point, had grown into a great tree that could shield me from sun and rain. He carried 2 steaming noodle bowls, set on the table. Eat up, love. I sat, held chopsticks but didn't move for long. Tristan. I looked at him, gathered all life's courage to ask the most important question. So now, what are we? He lifted his head, looked at my face full of worry and unease, suddenly smiled. That smile, like winter sun, instantly melted the last ice in my heart. He didn't answer, but reached over, gently with fingertips, tucked a stray hair behind my ear. That gesture tender and intimate without words. In that moment, I understood everything. Next day, Monday, Tristan still left early for work as usual, but I knew something had completely changed. First time after he left, I felt emptiness creep in. I went to his bedroom door not closed. Inside still, his familiar style, minimalist and cold. Everything neatly arranged, strict and restrained like his personality. On the bed his just-changed pajamas, still holding his warmth and scent. Like possessed, I stepped in, hugged the pajamas to my chest, buried my face, took a deep breath. All his scent. That realization made my face burn. I felt like a thief doing something sneaky. Hurriedly put clothes back, and fled his room, heart like a little deer running wild. So this is what liking someone feels like. Sweet, panicked, full of awkwardness. All morning, I drowned in that mixed emotion. Couldn't do anything properly. Until the lawyer called, I snapped back to reality. Evelyn, bank has confirmed the settlement. We need you to provide some proof of assets from early years of your father's company, especially overseas assets. This is crucial for next negotiation round. Do you remember where those documents are usually kept? I tried recalling. My dad had a highly secret safe, not at company nor home. It was at our old family house in the suburbs. That house where I grew up. Later, since family moved to central luxury apartment, it stayed empty. Only housekeeper came periodically to clean. After the incident, like all our other properties. It was sealed by court. Okay, I understand, lawyer said. I'll file application to court immediate, with reason to search key evidence. Request temporary access once. Prepare yourself. Might need you personally to point the location. After hanging up, my heart heavy. Have to go back there. Back to the place? Holding all my beautiful childhood, now just ruins. I felt scared. I told Tristan about it. Other end silent a while. Then he said, I'll take leave to go with you. No need, your work is busy. I said, I'll go with you. His voice full of determination. 2 days later, we stood with lawyer before that familiar iron gate, seals torn off. 2 court officers stood aside, coldly supervising, looking at familiar wrought iron gate. Wild grass, overgrown in garden. From lack of care, my eyes suddenly reddened. I still remember that swing built by Dad for my 5th birthday. That lawn patch was where my grand 18th birthday party was held. Every blade of grass, every tree root here, engraved my memories and family's past glory. Now seen remains, people gone. My feet felt leaden, couldn't move. A warm hand took mine, Tristan. He said nothing, just squeezed tight to reassure. He led me, step by step, into that familiar yet strange place. House covered in thin dust, all furniture draped white, like lurking ghosts, air thick with mold. I followed memory upstairs, to deepest room in Dad's study, a special collection room, walls once full of masterpieces, now empty frames. I went to one wall, following memory sequence, entered code into fake book spine's mechanism. Walls slowly moved, revealing huge, built-in safe. Lawyer and court officers looked astonished. I turned the combination, opened heavy safe door. Inside, no gold or jewels as I thought, only neat stacks of documents and a few velvet boxes. I opened one box. Inside lay quietly a sapphire necklace, Mom's favorite jewelry. Another box, a men's watch. First gift I gave Dad. So to him, most precious was never those valuable collectibles, but these family sentiment items. Tears I couldn't hold, dropped on velvet. Tristan came, gently hugged me from behind. He said nothing, just rested chin on my head, silently comforted with his warmth. In that moment, in this cold room, full of painful memories, for first time I felt strangely at peace. I knew I wasn't facing it alone. My past shattered, but my future, because of him, was being pieced together bit by bit. In the old house safe, we found extremely important documents. Among them, not only overseas company share certificates of Dad, but also several highly confidential trust agreements he'd signed early. The legal team, seeing these papers, eyes all lit up. This is a major discovery, Lawyer Wang, lead counsel, excitedly told me. With these, our negotiation leverage with bank will be much stronger. It proves father had no intent to transfer assets, but legally set up asset protection for family before company issues. Legally, this gives us huge initiative. This was definitely first light at tunnel's end, though far from full resolution. At least we saw hope. Leaving old house, I looked back once more at the somewhat melancholic villa under sunset. Heart's sorrow seemed eased. Perhaps best way to bid past farewell isn't forgetting, but bravely carrying most important things from it, then moving forward. And beside me now was someone ready to walk with me. On the way back, I rested head on Tristan's shoulder without speaking. He said nothing, just quietly played Castle in the Sky I Love, the melodious tune like a gentle hand, soothing my heart's worries. Life since then seemed fast-forwarded. Legal team used newly found evidence to open new negotiation round with bank. And I finally received first opportunity in new career. A week later, I got a call from unknown number. Other side claimed boutique hotel manager. Said they'd seen my online posts and drawings about spatial aesthetics. They were extremely impressed with my style. Wanted to invite me to provide interior design proposal for new VIP lounge. As soon as hung up, I jumped in excitement. My first real client. I rushed to study, hugged Tristan, who was reading documents. I got an order. Tristan, I got my first order. He staggered from impact, but immediately understood. Face bloomed bright smile. He held my shoulders, looked at my flushed, excited face, eyes full of admiration and pride. I told you you'd do it. That moment, his recognition, satisfied me more than any commercial success. I poured all heart into this project. I pulled all-nighters, researched stacks of materials, drew dozens of sketches. Tristan never interfered with any decision of mine, but when I stayed up, he quietly brought me hot milk. When I hit blocks or got irritable, he took me out for walks, told funny work stories to distract me. He was like the most solid support, always giving me strong backing whenever needed. Half-month later, I brought thick portfolio with arguably perfect proposal to meet hotel manager. They were extremely satisfied with my design. Signed contract on spot. Design deposit quickly transferred to Win Design Company account. When bank message came, seeing first income appear, I almost cried from emotion. Though compared to family debt, it was negligible. But to me, it meant enormous. It proved that Evelyn Wynne, wasn't just a burden relying on others. I could use my own hands and talent to stand up again. I grabbed phone, rushed out apartment, ran straight to Tristan's company building. I called him, come down for a sec, right now. Immediately, minutes later, he hurried out. What's wrong? Something happened? I said nothing. Tiptoed amid passersby, planted a loud kiss on his lips, then held phone screen to his face, like child showing report card to parent. Tristan, look, I earned money. He looked at the number, then at my beaming face, stunned a moment, then burst into hearty laughter. That laugh full of joy and indulgence. Great job, he smiled, ruffling my hair. Consultant, what do you want tonight? My treat. No need for your treat. I lifted chin proudly. Tonight I treat. Let's go home. I'll make you deluxe shrimp rice. 25 yuan version. He smiled, took my hand. Okay, let's go home. Under sunset, our shadows stretched long on the road. I knew a fresh, hope-filled future for us two had truly begun.